It's been a while since I found some sympathy for those of you who vote for things that never win on my Instagram polls. So this week I'm doing just that and making what came in second place last week, Tasty's Mini Pink Donut Cereal. Now don't get me wrong, these things look adorable and very easy to do, but I do have quite a few doubts about this entire thing, so let's get right into this one. Alrighty, so if you would like to make the easiest recipe I've done on this channel in a year, grab yourself some funfetti cake mix and water, some meringue powder and vegetable oil, rainbow sprinkles, an egg, some food colorings, and some powdered sugar. As you can probably guess, this one comes together in two main components, our cake donut cereal base and the frosting. And we're gonna start first with the cake mix, adding in a little bit of water, some of the vegetable oil, and an egg. These measurements came from Tasty, not on the back of this box. You want this batter incredibly thick so you can pipe out little donuts and have them actually hold their shape. I transfer the mix over to my piping bag with a circle tip, and I guess the only important part of this is the fact that there's some chemical leavening in the actual cake mix. So try not to let this sit around. Try to pipe all your little donuts as fast as possible and then pop them in the oven. Don't forget you can also use a little bit of water just to push down any pointed edges, just to make sure that they don't burn and they all cook evenly. Into a 350-degree oven for about 7 minutes, those went, and then I took them out and let them cool completely on a wire rack. With the majority of mine, I had no choice but to go back through every single one of them and use a straw to punch out the whole of the donuts. I'm pretty sure Tasty didn't have to do this for all of theirs. For some reason, mine all seemed to puff up quite a bit, but it was no big deal. I got those all finished and then let them cool. Next up is our pink glaze that'll go over the top of all of our little donuts. And that's just made up of some powdered sugar and that meringue powder sifted together, a touch of water, and then eventually some food colorings. I was a little bit doubtful of the 3 purple drops and 6 pink drops of food coloring, and I was correct. It came out a little bit more purple than I would have liked, but it still should be manageable. All you've got to do now is use a teaspoon and try to very evenly coat our little donuts. As you can imagine, this was hell, to put it lightly. I've never been great at the repetitious, very precise, artistic operations on this channel, but you guys have bared with me through it all, so here's another one for you. You do have to wait a couple hours to let this glaze completely harden. If you don't, they'll just mush together when you try to stack them up in a bowl later. But if you are patient and you let them set, you can get a pretty decent looking product, and I'm cautiously intrigued to try these. What do you guys think? I don't know. They don't look bad. They don't look very symmetrical or aesthetically pleasing either. That was also probably the fastest cooking portion of any video I've done in years. It reminded me of the good old days when I didn't have to torture myself for 3 or 4 days straight for your enjoyment. I'd imagine that these are just gonna taste like sugar and artificial food dye. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but recently I just can't do the super artificially flavored ice creams and water ices and cake mixes and desserts, candy, stuff like that. They're really not that bad though. I really like the glaze. It has a nice firm, kind of crunchy, snappy texture. Let's see how it does with the milk test, because I don't think it's gonna do very well. Yes, I have soy milk. I have to save myself the dairy when I can. Oh gosh. I don't know about this one. That honestly makes it a little bit better. I'm sure if you let it sit here for a few minutes, you'll just have a pile of mush. But right now, I don't hate it. At the end of the day though, this is just cake mix with a little bit of water and oil in it. Not to mention, they're behemoth sized. They're like 8 times the size of normal cereal. If only we had a proven cereal recipe that we can form into little tiny O's, use that same pink glaze, and make real pink donut cereal. Alright, shout out to any of you that guessed that we are doing Claire's Lucky Charms oat cereal part. These worked pretty beautifully the last time I had to make some cereal, so I'm gonna deploy it again by grabbing some whole grain rolled oats, white vinegar and sugar, kosher salt and baking soda, a few eggs, vanilla extract, and water. The one thing I am going to do differently than last time is to toast and then grind all of my own oats. Last time I had some store-bought toasted oat flour, which did eventually work okay, but I have a feeling we're going to get even better flavor with these guys. I toasted them in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes, tossing them every couple minutes to make sure they brown evenly, and then throw them in my old trusty high-powered smoothie blender, and you eventually will get a very nice fine flour. As you can see, this is slightly more work than the last version of cereal we've done, but based on the last video, these should be worth it. I combined my oat flour along with some baking soda and kosher salt, giving that a whisk, and then adding in some vanilla extract and some water. I remember this flour behaving a little bit funky last time. It takes quite a while for it to absorb the water and hydrate completely, so we do have to set that to the side and we can start whipping up our egg whites. 100 grams of egg whites, a pinch of kosher salt, and then a very slow stream of granulated sugar later. You're gonna want a super stiff but firm meringue. I've always had a tendency to under-whip this for whatever reason, but once you get all that sugar in there, do not be afraid to whip this thing all the way on high for a couple minutes, because it can take it and those eggs will not break. Again, if any of you peeps are OGs and watched that last Lucky Charms video, you may remember that it took me 3 attempts to get this oat cereal part right, and it seems to me like I did the exact same thing as last time. There's a bunch of variables. I could have messed up then and now. I could have not whipped the eggs long enough. I could have not allowed the oat flour to hydrate long enough. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to decrease the water and increase the oat flour in the next batch, and they should come out fine, just like the last versions. I just love when things turn around for the better and your spirits start to lift. You feel so optimistic, and then... well, that's great. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world that could happen, just required a minor cleanup. Just know that if you have plastic squeeze bottles like this, they're very cheap, so don't squeeze on them that hard because they'll burst. Now I just pipe these in some nickel-sized circles because once they come out of the oven is when they're going to do all the forming. I took a sturdy metal straw for the insides of all of these, and then eventually I took that circle piping tip from earlier and used it to shape the outside. So we have a bunch of the same exact sized cereal pieces. I did want to dehydrate these just to make sure they were completely dry and nice and snappy like I had them in the last video. And I also think I forgot to mention that I'm just going to use the leftover pink frosting from the other version because I liked it. It was fine and I had no complaints. I dehydrated them one last time just to make sure everything was completely set and dry all the way through. I popped those in a bowl as well, and it is time to give, hopefully, our new and improved mini pink donut cereal a try. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is a full-on bowl of oat cereal doused in sugar that any normal American would love to wake up in the morning and consume. Sometimes I don't realize how weird our food habits are here until somebody from another country points it out. Like, yeah, it is a little bit odd that we load our bodies up with sugar the second we open our eyes in the morning. It's so good. And healthy. Yeah, kind of. It's got such a strong toasted oat flavor. The sugar is kind of adding to like a very nice balance almost. And it's just so crunchy. Like, it's even crunchier than normal cereal, and I kind of love that. This is just delicious. If you have the means, it's not that much harder than the last one I just made. Just gotta get your hands on some oat flour or toast your own. If your oven has a dehydrate setting on it, that's all you need. I am gonna finish this for a midnight snack. It is a more appropriate time to eat this much sugar, so why not? I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave me a big old like. I hope your summers are going okay. I know things are still pretty crazy in most areas of the world, but hang in there, I'm with you. Follow me over on Twitter and Instagram if you do not already. Other than that, have a fantastic weekend. I will see you right back here next time. Peace.
with the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision. We could make it.